Imagine a serene night with light traffic, high-tech aircraft, and collision avoidance systems on board. Yet, in the dark expanse, tragedy struck as two airliners, equipped with the latest safety tech, collided at high speed, revealing the complexities of aviation safety. What went wrong in this closely monitored airspace? How did collision avoidance technology, designed to prevent such incidents, fail in this shocking event? Join us to understand the complexities of aviation safety and the profound impact of the Überlingen mid-air collision, a moment frozen in time with 71 lives at stake. Since the early 1900s, aviation has seen continuous technological progress, from fundamental concepts to groundbreaking innovations like computer integration in flight decks and control towers. These advancements, aimed at ensuring passenger and crew safety, have not come without challenges, and one such lesson was learned through the development of technology to prevent mid-air collisions. Regrettably, mid-air collisions have occurred before, prompting the industry to seek ways to move forward and protect future passengers. Since the 1950s, authorities have been exploring the idea of a traffic avoidance system onboard airplanes, culminating in the development of TCAS, or the Traffic Collision Avoidance System, in the 1980s. Over the decades, all aircraft have been equipped with this vital technology. TCAS operates by interacting with the transponder, a piece of aviation equipment that emits signals from the plane. When conflicting with another nearby aircraft signal, the system alerts pilots, providing crucial information to avoid potential collisions. While most cases require no pilot action due to effective flight planning and air traffic control, TCAS plays a vital role in rare scenarios where two planes converge at the same altitude. Now let's focus on the Überlingen mid-air collision over Germany. The story begins in the Russian city of Ufa, where a school trip organized by the local UNESCO committee headed to the Spanish coast. The flight, chartered from Moscow to Barcelona, involved a Tupolev 154, a Soviet-era airliner developed in the 1960s. With over 1,000 of these planes built, the Tupolev 154 was known for its robust design, three-engine configuration, and versatility in landing on various runways. On July 1, 2002, the legacy of Soviet-era Tupolev 154 planes continued as Russia's Korean Airlines Flight 937 departed from Moscow's Domodedovo Airport bound for Barcelona. On board were 60 passengers, predominantly school children, including Svetlana Kaloyeva and her two children, Konstantin, age 10, and Diana, age 4. The flight aimed to reunite them with their father, Vitaly Kaloyev, working in Spain. The five-member crew, led by Captain Alexander Gross, boasted a collective flying experience exceeding 45,000 flight hours. Simultaneously, in Bergamo, Italy, a DHL cargo plane, a Boeing 757 freighter, prepared for its flight to Brussels. Captain Paul Phillips and First Officer Ron Compeau, both based in Bahrain, had already accumulated over 18,000 flight hours. Departing from Bahrain earlier that day, DHL Flight 611 aimed to head north from Bergamo to Brussels. As the two flights followed their routes, destiny brought them together over the Swiss-German border. The airspace over Switzerland and South Germany, managed by air navigation service provider SkyGuide, is typically one of the busiest in the world. But that night saw a decrease in traffic due to scheduled maintenance. During this critical time, Peter Nielsen, a controller at SkyGuide in Geneva, Switzerland, found himself alone on duty as his colleague took a break. Facing a temporary disruption in telephone lines and primary radar displays due to maintenance, Nielsen worked diligently from two stations. He was responsible for the sector where both the DHL and Russian Tupolev were flying and converging. As the situation unfolded, Aero Lloyd Flight 1135, a delayed flight, was making its approach to the nearby Friedrichshafen Airport, adding to the complexity of the airspace Nielsen was managing. The absence of direct communication with airports and control towers, coupled with the backup system, created a challenging environment for Nielsen to navigate. As Peter Nielsen juggles between two workstations, managing the Aero Lloyd flight while dealing with the converging airplanes on his radar screen, challenges escalate. With the Friedrichshafen Tower unreachable due to maintenance, Nielsen is unaware that ground-based systems detecting convergent traffic are also offline. Unable to call the Friedrichshafen Tower, Nielsen instructs the Aero Lloyd flight to contact the airport directly via radio. diverting attention back to the converging planes on his primary workstation. Unknownst to Nielsen, critical ground-based systems are offline. Tensions mount in the cockpits of both planes as TCAS warnings urge them to take evasive action. The Russian crew receives instructions to descend, aligning with their Soviet training, which dictates strict adherence to air traffic control commands without exceptions. In contrast, Western standards emphasize trust in instruments. The Boeing 757 flight manual and DHL standard operating procedures advise prioritizing TCAS instructions. With no specific instruction from Nielsen, the DHL crew follows TCAS, descending as per the alert. The Russian crew faces a dilemma torn between traditional Soviet training and Western protocols. The collision, now on the precipice, hinges on the choices made in these critical moments. As Peter Nielsen issues the instruction, "Bravo Tango Charlie, 937 descent flight level 350 expedite," the Russian crew interprets it as a preventive measure to avoid a mid-air collision. Believing they are acting in the interest of safety, the Russian crew initiates a descent, aligning with Nielsen's words. Nielsen shifts his attention to the other radar screen, intending to confirm the handoff with the incoming flight into Friedrichshafen. Unfortunately, at 35 minutes past 11 hours p.m., the two planes find themselves in dangerously close proximity. Tragically, the collision occurs. The tail fin of the DHL 757 makes contact with the Tupolev 154's fuselage just short of the wings, severing the nose from the rest of the plane. The Tupolev explodes and plummets to the ground, while the DHL plane struggles on for 6 more kilometers without its tail fin. Remnants of the Tupolev scatter, predominantly near the town of Uberlingen. In the aftermath, a devastating scene unfolds. Bodies, primarily those of children, are found scattered in the nearby woods. Vitaly Kalev discovers the intact body of his 4-year-old daughter, along with a pearl necklace she would wear. As part of the search operation for bodies, he also uncovers the remains of his wife Svetlana in a cornfield and his son, Konstantin. Following the incident, the blame game ensues. Initially, SkyGuide accuses the Russian crew of not following the TCAS warning. However, as the investigations unfold, SkyGuide eventually accepts full responsibility for the tragic mid-air collision. On the first anniversary of the accident, the acknowledgement of fault marks a somber moment in the aftermath of this heart-wrenching event. Following the tragic incident, Vitaly Kaloyev sought a meeting between the head of SkyGuide and the controller on duty that fateful night, Peter Nielsen. Nielsen, grappling with urgent psychiatric needs, received no response, setting the stage for a shocking turn of events. Driven by grief and a desire for accountability, Kaloyev took matters into his own hands. He hired a private investigator to locate Nielsen's home. On February 24, 2004, in a grim twist, Kaloyev murdered Nielsen by stabbing him multiple times in his garden, witnessed by Nielsen's wife and children. Nielsen succumbed to his injuries a few minutes later. In October 2005, Kaloyev was convicted of premeditated killing and sentenced to 8 years in prison. However, he was released in 2007 on the grounds of mental instability, a factor not considered during the trial. Returning to North Ossetia, Russia, Kaloyev was welcomed as a hero, and to this day, he exhibits no remorse for taking Nielsen's life. Kaloyev dismisses accusations of murder, stating, "I don't really take offense to people who call me a murderer. People who say that would betray their own children, their own motherland. I protected the honor of my children and the memory of my children. He's nobody to me. He was an idiot, and that's why he paid for it with his life. If he had been smarter, the tragedy might not have happened." The tragic events that unfolded after the mid-air collision paint a complex and sorrowful picture, revealing the profound impact of the incident on the lives of those involved. How does this tragic incident impact your perspective on air traffic control, aviation safety, and the responsibilities of those involved in managing airspace? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys soon.